Hi, so I'm really interested in conducting more efficient literature reviews. This is for personal and internal lab use, but if you're watching this and I've released this externally, I hope you find it useful. So I am going to use a combination of dimensions and VOSViewer to achieve some kind of network visualization of citations that are relevant to my lab's work. So I eventually want to get to something like this. And what you see here are a network of published academic works associated with star tracker celestial navigation for planetary rovers. And the two papers that I was really interested in seeing the connections between are the Siegel and Wettergreen paper from 2007 and the Enright and Barfoot paper from 2012. So you're gonna need to download VOSViewer ahead of time. It's a program that runs locally, but once you do that, you can get this little local software running on your computer. You can eventually use online, but you have to create the local files and upload it to online before you can get this very easily shareable URL. Okay, so this took me quite a lot of time to figure out, but VOSViewer is a visualization tool. It doesn't actually take a repository of, it's not like a search where you can type in a paper that you're interested in viewing all of the different papers that it's cited by or that it cites. You have to generate that information through some other method. So I can't just like Google papers related to the Siegel paper, for example. What I need to do is go to a website. VOSViewer sites like PubMed, Web of Science, but I personally use Dimensions because I saw it in another tutorial. So what I did, I was really interested in the Siegel and Wettergreen paper and the Enright paper. So I just copy pasted the title. And then in the search bar for Dimensions, I typed in I pasted the title of the paper. And then I clicked title and abstract. And once you get that, you can find the paper that you're originally trying to be like a focal point of your network. And then this is pretty crucial that you need to download or export the publication references and the citations for the work you're interested in. And that is through this top right button right here, export results. You need to choose export for bibliometric mapping. And you can see a little hint is that VOSViewer is cited right there. You also need to have an account in Dimensions so that you can link your email and then have them send the CSV file to that email. So I've already done it and I can show you what it looks like in my email, but for brevity, I'm just gonna imagine that you're actually doing this for the first time and you export it. Okay, so that was publication references. Let's say you exported it to your email. You also need to do publication citations, so show all, and then export results, export for bibliometric mapping, and then you press export. Okay, and then just to be super comprehensive, the other paper I was interested in looking for was this paper. So again, copy paste in your search bar, title and abstract, search. There she is. Okay. And then references, show all, export results. Export for bibliometric mapping. Click export. And you can do this for as many papers as you want. Essentially, you are constructing the data set that the visualization will draw from. So the more papers in which you export the bibliometric mapping of the references and the citations, the larger your network is, and feasibly, like, the more connected your network is. In the VOSViewer tutorial, they download the papers like of an entire journal. So in their case, they had like thousands, and in my case, I have 15 plus 17 plus however many citations were in the previous. So I'm working on a scale of like 100 citations. So I go to my email and go to the link, the email that you have your data sent to. You're going to get an email that looks like so, and then when you click on that link, it should download a zip file, right? Okay. So what I've done, go to that zip file and you can extract all. And then once you extract the zip file, I take all of my CSVs that I'm generating and I put it in a central folder. So I've already constructed the folder that I want all of the bibliometric mapping files to live in. For this work, I'm naming it star nav. And so the Siegel and Wettergreen, and then the Enright and Barfoot citation and publication references, they live right here. So this is the citations and publication references for one of those papers, and then these two are the citation and references for the other paper. All right, so that's what you want as inputs to VOSViewer. Now you're going to go into VOSViewer and you're going to do create. And it took a little bit of toggling for me to figure out which options of these I wanted to click on to generate a network. So when you go to create a map based on bibliographic data. Click next. And then you are going to read data from bibliographic database files, right? So before I was talking about the different databases you can scrape, it's WebAssign, Scopus, Dimensions, Lens, and PubMed. I use Dimensions, so I'm going to click on the first option. All right. And then when you come to this step, you need to toggle to the database generator that you used. It defaults to WebAssign, but you need to tab over to Dimensions. And then you need to choose the files that you're going to use. So let's see, are my files? Users. Right, okay. So navigate to the directory that you have your, here it is. I saved all of my CSV bibliometric mapping files in this folder. All right, and you can select multiple files. You can click and then shift, click to the last file you want to include, press OK. Do not press finish because there are more things that you need to toggle. So the type of analysis, make sure you have citation and then documents. I think it defaults, I don't know what it defaults to, but I have clicked on like co-authorship and bibliographic coupling, and it does not generate the network that I wanted to see. Choose a threshold. I do not care if things have been cited or not. I kind of want to see it in the network anyway, even if it doesn't have a line connected. The next page, number of documents. I think it's, oh, okay. So it seems like this number of documents is currently defaulted to the maximum number of citations and references that were in my CSV. So it turned out there were 51 total. But I'm guessing that if you have like thousands of documents that you may want to cap that number. Okay, and then VOSViewer ingested those CSVs and put in all of the, I guess these are the authors and the years of the publications, and then it extracted the citations. And then I think this is like a VOSViewer product that it analyzed the number of links in between that particular document and then all the others, which is kind of cool. It makes sense that like the Siegel and Enright papers, because they were the foundation of my data set, that those are the ones with the most links, right? Because Enright and Siegel were the ones to choose the references, and then like I downloaded the papers that cited them. So of course they would be the papers with the highest links. So finish. All right. I know the screen didn't change, but imagine that like, wait, actually I'm a little confused. Pause recording. Okay, sorry. I get it. So on your screen, if you're starting from scratch, it would have been a white screen. And then after that, like sequence of doing the analysis and setting all of the parameters for your analysis, this is what you would get if you had my data. What I was confused about is that I looked at the most prominent names, and those were not Siegel and Enright. So I was looking for Siegel and Enright. Here they are. Siegel and Enright are very prominently at the center of a lot of connections. But what you'll notice, I think the way that this is visualized is that the circles with the biggest bubbles are papers that are cited the most. So even though like Siegel and Enright were the focal points of this analysis, it turns out that Schuster, let's see, if we click on Schuster, it might have the most citations. Yeah, so it has like 1,000 citations, which is why its name was so big. That's why it's so prominent in the network. Okay. That sounds good. This is really interesting. You can interact with it by, say, toggling, hovering over a certain node, and then it'll tell you the authors. It'll tell you the title of the paper, the journal and source, and year. So I think that students should use this as a way of like, oh, between within this network, I noticed that like this Trebi and All-in-New paper is really heavily cited, and yet I've never read it before, so maybe I should go read it. Or like, oh, the Schuster paper has been cited so much, there must be maybe something to it. Maybe it's very foundational to other works in my field. Okay, so I think this can help with a more targeted literature search. Now what we're going to do, you have to save this so that you can refer to it later. So let's do save. And the way that, let's see, I am choosing to save it as a map and network file. And so you can do that. I've already saved it, but if you were to do this fresh, it would look like nothing is right there. So what you need to do is browse. And then you don't necessarily need to have these text files already existing. You can just type in what the name of the file you want this to be saved as. This is going to be the map file, so I'm just going to name it map. And then for the network file, name it network. All right. Yes, I'm going to replace it. Okay, and just to make sure that they got filled, I open up map. Okay, that's what it looks like. Open up network. So that's what it looks like. All right, and so you can, for example, reload this diagram by bringing in those recently saved files. And then it didn't change because we literally just saved it and then reloaded it. So it's the same thing. Okay, let's talk about this share option. So I thought it was really cool how if you do share, it'll bring up. Okay, so this feature doesn't really work, but theoretically, it would load a browser compliant visualization of what we just saw locally. And you can send this URL to other people and then they can like interact with it. Yeah, that's cool. So you can see on the bottom left, the authors, the title of this, the source, the year, total link strength 32. Schuster looks a little different. Links, total link strength 10. I think in this particular diagram, the visualization, the visualization is set to links instead of, let's see. Yeah, if we set it to the size to citations, then Schuster, it more so represents our local visualization. Yeah, it's cool to toggle. I think citations makes more sense. Okay, so yeah, you can share this with other people. You can find a specific author if this visualization is kind of cumbersome to navigate. You can take a screenshot, I think, from either. So I named it Siegel and Iterate Network. I think that's it. I will write this down in a procedure with screenshots, but I hope this video was helpful and, you know, hopefully it's more comprehensive than the procedure I'm about to write. All right, have fun, learn lots.